Hello, disciples across the church. My name is Reverend Bill Spangler-Dunning, and I get to serve as the regional minister of Virginia. But I also have the privilege of serving as the chair of governance for the general church. And I just wanted to take a few moments to explain just one of the changes that are coming out of 2343 from our last assembly. And that change is really about the general board, or the way that we choose and recommend people to serve on the general board. But I want to do it with an image that we as church people are really familiar with: potlucks. What I mean, go with me on this a little bit. I've attended a lot of potlucks, and I bet you have too. And there's really three main ways in which we do these meals, these church meals together around table. Table is an important image in disciples. The first way that we go about this is sort of a free-for-all ask. We just announced that we're having a potluck, and we invite our members to bring some item to the potluck, and we lay it out all on the table. And most of the times we have a wide variety of recipes and items, and it's a great potluck. But on occasion, I've attended potlucks, and maybe you have too. You get there, and what's happened in the randomness of that methodology, we end up with a third of the table that's full of Jello recipes, or some other item where everybody just got in the mood to make that particular corn pudding or something. It's still a good potluck, but it doesn't really represent the full diversity of all the recipes and meals and items that a church can produce. The second way we do this is that we, as leadership, will say we're going to cater the meal, and we just order up a few things that we think will make a good meal, and everybody comes to the table and we have a good meal. But in that methodology, even though it's still good food, we aren't really asking our people to contribute any particular items or gifts to the meal. And it has its advantages, but the downside of that is that we're just not really getting to the full diversity of the church either. The third model is really kind of the hybrid, in that what we do is that the leadership will say, here are the items that we need, a checklist, if you will, of all the things that we need to make a good potluck. And people actually look at that list and they sign up for the item that they're going to bring. And then the potluck lays out and the table is full, and we have all kinds of variety from across the whole of the church. That's kind of where we're headed with the general board. The one change I want to talk about is that in this new model, what will happen is that literally anyone in the life of the church will be able to nominate somebody you see in your ministry, in your congregation, who you think brings the gifts and talents that are needed by the general board for that particular season. We will be given a list of the needs and talents that are needed, and we, as every member of the church, will be able to recommend someone. They will fill out an application. There'll be references, and then the general nominating committee will look through all of the gifts and talents of people that have been recommended and choose a general board that represents the full diversity of the church. That's just one way that we're changing in the general board and the way that people are chosen. Look for other ways coming up soon about the other changes. But for starters, that's kind of where we're headed. And I'm really excited about that, particularly because the general board will represent in gifts and talents and every way that represents the full diversity of this church. I hope that's helpful, and look for the next announcement. Blessings to all.